Hello everyone and welcome back. I am Duke Silver. Today we are playing Sad Dracula. Sad Dracula, I feel, is a hero that is perpetually underrated, even by myself at times. But yeah, I'm kind of a big fan of Sad Drac, and I think it gets a lot of hate that isn't really deserved. People like to say that the hero power only works half the time because you get to go first half the time, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. The ability to go first, I think, is such an important part of winning a lot of combats, especially when you're playing things like Slay or Scam or things like that I think people really underestimate the power of going first. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get into this game. We're now on 3.0 here. We tripled a kitty cut purse super early, so we got a couple slays, so it's got some attack on it. And more importantly, we got a bounty board out of it, which means every time it slays, we're gonna get 3 gold out of that. And we're gonna take a polywoggle here. I was gonna put the polywoggle in 1, but we do rearrange here at the last minute during the cut there, just because I wanted to keep getting attack onto the cut purse, and there's no guarantee that we were gonna slay with the poly anyways. So I figure I really want to keep my econ going here. We took a bunch of damage pretty early in the game, so having extra gold is a way to get us out, or to kind of dig us out and stabilize. And again, we want to keep this kitty cut purse growing, as we want it to remain relevant for at least a few more turns. Picking up a pair of vampires is like, it's not the greatest pair in the world, but the fact that we have this shadow assassin now means just like more potential slay triggers for it, as well as a 3 pair. So we would definitely be looking for like a treasure map or a bad moon, or maybe a cloak of the assassin. And pick up a second poly. We would like to golden that, and maybe get it to transform it eventually. There's an argument for needle nose daggers, just because we've got a ranged character. We've got these polys that could slay with the extra attack eventually, but I think Fairy Tale is just incredibly solid. We do finally get 1 slay with our vampires there. Unfortunately, we take more damage here, but we get our level 3 treasure with the Wicked Witch here, and it is a bad moon, so we're absolutely going to take that. That's going to increase our scaling in slot 1 there. And we're gonna pick up a feasting dragon. It's got an extra stat on it because of the Fairy Tale, so there's a decent chance that it slays. We might put it in slot 1 once we've kind of finished our shopping here, and we do some repositioning. Because we definitely don't want it in 7. We don't want the poly in 4. We're gonna put the poly in 5, just on the off chance that it can actually slay something. And I did momentarily put the feasting dragon in 1, but I decided to put it in 2, just because, again, I just want to keep slaying with this kitty cut purse. That extra gold is just doing a lot for us. We did actually get the slay from the poly and also the feasting dragon there. Poly flips into a shoulder fairies, which is not the greatest. We've got a ton of attack because of our evil characters, but we had no health until we pick up this River Wish mermaid, and River Wish is gonna add more instances of slay to the characters in front of it. So that's gonna be more bad moon and more bounty board triggers. And here we're gonna pick up a crystal ball. We're gonna be on 5 in just a couple turns. And with this setup, I feel like we could potentially just, if we find an Aeon nice and early, we could end up being going into mages, or at least being some kind of mage slay hybrid. I think this is a mistake. I put the Beauty's Influence onto the cut purse. I should have put it on the Vampire. It would have made our shoulder fairies a lot bigger, toughness wise. And so we didn't really increase many stats there for our shoulder fairies, unfortunately. And yeah, the extra, like, the kitty cut purse is not going to stick around like super long, although the vampire isn't either. But Again, I think that was just a mistake, and we knocked that player out through their secret stash, so a little bit unfortunate for them. We do have a bunch of gold now from our bounty board, and so we're gonna dump a bunch of spells into our feasting dragon, and pick up another feasty. I'm not gonna worry about Shadow Assassin. We just don't really have like Shadow Assassin. I've talked about this before. It doesn't really know where to play in these slay builds, which makes it a very, very awkward unit. And yeah, we triple our feasting dragon. Unfortunately, no evil eye there, which we would have happily taken. But we do have a ton of stats on the feasting dragon. And we're gonna get even more with a bad moon slay there, and we get a slay from our cut purse. Make short work of that opponent as well, knocking another player out. We can take another River Wish here. And again, we got a ton of gold because, of course, I mean, the theme. I'm sure you can see a theme with these slay videos that I post. Is generally bounty board is the engine that makes them go. All right, now we got a TLK, and we're gonna fire it off onto the shoulder fairies, and wouldn't you know it, it's a Jormungand. And then we find another Baba in the shop, which we're gonna sell down for. I think a second Baba in this spot is gonna be better than the second River Wish. It's gonna give us a lot more gold. And also it's a ranged character on our backline, which is obviously something we're interested in. And yeah, even here on 5.0, the amount of slays we get turns our Yorm into an absolute monster. We get a little bit of permanent scaling on Yorm as well. Having it start with 66 toughness is great. All right, we find a horn because we triple our Baba. There's a lance in the shop. We could get the quest. It's kind of smaller than everything else we have, so it's a little bit awkward because like being able to scale lance is generally pretty good in Slay, and like 5.1, like it's not exactly super late, but the fact that everything else is so much bigger and going to be slaying so much easier is makes it a little bit awkward. And we don't have like a lightning dragon for easy slays, so we're gonna take a Medusa. Also, I've talked about this before with Sad Drac. I really like Medusa in slot 1. I mean, it just it gives you guaranteed scam, as well as with the amount of stats from the feasting dragons that we have on it initially, it's going to be able to slay anything from this spot, and it's going to activate our Yorm a lot easier than a lightning dragon would. Because I mean, one soul attack and your lightning dragon is immediately irrelevant. So I prefer Medusa slay to lightning dragon slay by a pretty big factor. And didn't really want any of those level 5 treasures. Again, our Lancelot's probably just too small right now for us to start scaling, so we're just gonna bench it. Honestly, getting the quest for Lance was probably a little bit of a waste of time. With all this extra gold from bounty board, though, we're just gonna try and pick up as many Babas as we can, and we get to triple into a very large golden Baba here because of our feasting dragon slays. And we have picked up a soul tack, which is what we're playing over the lance, because protecting our slay supports is just super important for us here. All right, and this is a very large Loki. They've got a fully formed tree board. It's only 5.2. It looks like they holy grailed, and they have an or maybe not holy grailed, but they got to 6 super early. They've got a beginning stone. They've got Excalibur, but our Medusa slay is just a little bit too much for them to handle still. Again, this Medusa will slay anything, unless they have supports that are increasing their base, or their static. They have supports that are creating a static amount of stats that is greater than the Medusa's power. But at 90 power, I don't know any combination of supports that is going to be able to get past that. We're taking more Medusas here, just in case we end up needing them. We've got Empress P here. Like, Empress P is going to be great. We do fire off an Evil Twin, but then I realized just how small the second Empress P is, so I just sold it immediately, because I'd rather not use that to triple. Because I mean, we want to get the extra stats from the feasting dragon slays onto. We want them all to compound into one unit basically, and that's how we create these giant characters. So if we tripled it there, it would still be big, but I mean, we can make it bigger, and we've got the gold to achieve that. So. Alright, there we go. We get to triple our Empress P, and having it in slot 1, we were hoping that it might get a slay and then be able to grow, but that was definitely way too greedy. We are gonna put it in slot 2, but yeah, we saw how detrimental missing a slay there could be. We lost the fight pretty badly because of it, so we're just gonna put the old reliable Medusa back in 1 here, and I mean, we're still gonna play the Empress P. It could potentially still slay. But also, it's basically just there to make our backline more relevant. I mean, with just the stat line it has, even without scaling the slays at all, it's still going to make our backline very, very large. Thought about firing off a knighthood there, but I figure we can find another Yorm if we can, or if we can find another Yorm, we'd rather do that. We would still take like a level 6 treasure. Like a Phoenix Feather would be fantastic here. Bad Moon's pretty irrelevant at this point, so we would be happy to replace that. We'll fire off a Pigomorph here. Again, just in case, because if they do manage to like Pigomorph or take out our Medusa in some way, then we are in trouble. So Pigomorph is a decent little backup plan there. All right, fortunately they don't find any scam for us. The Doom Breath is a little bit problematic, but the fact that we always get to attack first, again, the fact that we're guaranteed to attack first just makes all the difference there. Because if they were able to attack first, take out our River Wish Mermaid, I mean, we would probably just throw in a Soul Tack if we didn't, but if they were able to take out our River Wish and then we don't get our slays from the Medusa, then we don't get enough stats on our Yorms to win the fight. But the fact that we get to attack first and we get all those stats before the backline gets destroyed, it makes the difference there. And our Yorms are able to take over the combat. But yeah, so if you found this entertaining or educational at all, please leave a like and subscribe. If you haven't already, I really appreciate it, and it really helps the channel out. And yeah, let me know what you think of Sad Drac. I know a lot of people really like Slay. So I mean, let me know if you don't, I guess. Let me just feel free to leave a comment about any aspect of the game or anything in general. I respond to every comment, and I like hearing from everyone. And yeah. But with all that being said, I think that's all I have. So I hope you have a good day, and I will see you tomorrow.